I got to do a little work on the Toro Time Cut 5000 zero turn. This Toro has the Kohler Courage 21. That's what it is. So model is SV610. Problem I've been having with this mower lately, or actually last few years, it seems like it's got a vibration in it. The first thing I started noticing was the exhaust shield. I couldn't keep an exhaust shield on it, and I think it's because it was just vibrating so much that it was just wiggling and ultimately just broke loose from the spot welds. But then I noticed that the actual pipe to the muffler was cracked down here, so I welded that up, ran it for a while, and then it started cracking again. And in the meantime, I started noticing when I go along that I was burning off oil, kind of like a mosquito fogger. I was leaving a little trail of smoke behind me. So when I looked at it, I saw a lot of oil in this area. So I thought that the head gasket was leaking, or somehow there's oil getting up in here, and it was coming through and getting on. It was basically getting on the exhaust. The oil was getting on the exhaust, and then it was smoking. It was burning it off. So got a new head gasket, took the head off, put the gasket on, reset the valves, put it back together. And it wasn't until I actually was putting it together that I realized that I had a crack in the casing. It goes basically through here, and it wraps just underneath the edge of this casing a little bit. So I ground a V into the crack, put JB weld on it, let it cure for a couple days, and I went back and I put some RTV silicone over it, and it's been fine. It's been running good. I haven't been really leaking any oil. That's just dirty, and it's been doing okay. So it was a try it or trash it. So I put it on there, and it was running fine. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep running it till it really dies. So the other day I was riding it, and all of a sudden it died. And when I went to start it, it just sounded like, for one thing, it turned over a lot easier, like there's a lot less resistance in the motor. And it sounded like two pieces of rubber like basically rubbing together. And I couldn't figure out what was going on with it. So I thought, you know what, again, try it or trash it. I was going to take it apart, see what's going on in here. And it wasn't that hard to get the top half of this off. Basically, you know, you're taking off your plastic shields, get your steering wheel puller out, pull that out. That's rusty because it's been sitting outside for the last couple days. Then you take off the top cover plate, and pretty much that gets you to this point. So what a surprise. Nylon gears, great thing, great invention, guys, way to save money. Looking in here, to no surprise, the teeth are chopped off of this. And that's why the rubber it sounded like it was running rubber to rubber, because this spot would have been in here, and it was just spinning freely. And the steel gear was just running free through that nylon. But what also was going on was a bunch of pieces off of that cam gear imploded. This is a swing weight, so this thing, and this part, all this stuff goes together, believe it or not, to form a swing weight. So I think what happens, or in this case happened anyways, some of these cams have 4 rivets, so they have 1 here, 2, 3, and 4. The luck of the draw, this model has only 2, and I think over time these rivets get loose in the plastic, and it gives it some movement, and then things all go kittywampus. This one is starting, you can see that rivet will move. It's already loosening up on that side too, so I'm just wondering if if so much play gets in these that eventually it can move around enough and then get off a tooth and then implode. Another thing I noticed, this is the new gear. This is that swing weight I put in there, and it binds up. It doesn't swing freely all the time. I'm trying to force that to swing right now, and it is bound up. It won't, that will not swing. And there it goes. So I'm not sure the deal is with that. And I don't know if this is a design flaw, and that is why this thing imploded, the old one, or if it's a non-issue. Don't know. I played with this for quite a few minutes trying to figure out if there's a rhyme or reason to it, and sometimes it binds and sometimes it goes free. I don't get it. So I don't know, once it's assembled, maybe it's a non-issue, not sure, but my thought was if this thing's binding and it's new, if the old one was bound, maybe it wasn't running right and it wasn't throwing the weight right. Maybe that was some of the reason why it wasn't running, or may have been out of balance, I guess. I'm not sure. Anyways, just trying to point it out why I got this thing apart. Everyone can learn together, I guess, or not learn. Trying to understand it. So anyways, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to put it back together and away I go. But clearly, you know, the other one, here's one of the rivets that came off the old one. Basically just broke right out of the, you know, it came right out of the cam. This is the new one, but you can see how it would have gone in there. So as far as timing this thing goes, you want the keyway to be at 12 o'clock, you know, in line with the piston stroke. And then you're going to take the intake cam, and it's at about 4 o'clock, and you can see there's an indicator on the crank gear, and there's an indicator dot on the nylon timing gear. So then the intake position, now keep in mind these are both marked exhaust, intake, exhaust, and intake. So when you put them in, this one has to go on this side because this is the one with the swing weight on it, and it's different underneath. This one doesn't have the same cam under it, so this side is different than that side from a cam standpoint. So this one goes to the intake side at about 4 o'clock. This one you use the exhaust reference, and there's a pin there, a dot. Line that up to the pin on the crank gear, and that should be at 8 o'clock. So piston is at 12 noon. Put this one down at 8 o'clock, this one down at 4 o'clock, and this is then marked as the intake reference, and this one is marked as the exhaust. So EX and IN. So basically I'm putting this bad boy back together. I got a little more cleaning to do. I can see I got some more chunks down there. It looks like more nylon. Anyways, I'm going to run this through, mop it up as best I can, and it looks like there's more of the spring down in there. And also, when this thing went, this cam shaft, there's a pin. This pin right here shouldn't be long enough. It should be sticking out on both sides, but this side actually broke off. So I got a new shaft as well. So I'll be replacing the shaft, both cams, and the weight. And I think that's about it. And actually the kit comes with an extra arm for the valves, so I'll check that out. See, I think the new one is a little smaller, doesn't have such a big head on it. So anyways, I'm going to check into that and see if I want to replace that or not. But anyways, the goal is to throw it back together. I'm going to keep the original gasket. I'm just going to put a little RTV in here, and otherwise it looks like it's in pretty good shape. And then just the challenge is going to be to get everything lined up, because we got to get, you know, these cams lined up with these holes in the case, and then the governor as well. So that'll be the only big challenge with this. But anyways, this is a Kohler Courage 21. Cam went out. Basically, it just wouldn't run. You could crank it all day long. it wouldn't fire at all, obviously, because the intake and exhaust weren't working at all. So anyways, that's the deal. We're going to throw it back together. If this doesn't get me through the summer, then I think it's time for this bad boy to hit the scrap yard. I don't want to be tinking around with it. This was $65 for the parts here, so I don't want to keep dumping a bunch of money into it. Anyways, there we go. That's what the inside of the Kohler Courage 21 looks like, and those are the cams. Let me know if you got any questions. Maybe I can help you out.